Now, OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. We're joined on the line by Dermot Corrigan of The Athletic to talk about the latest situation at Barcelona, which is wild. Dermot, good morning to you. How are you?
Hey, Ger, how's it going? Yeah, pretty wild, all right, around Barcelona these days.
Like, I've no idea where to start with this because it's so complicated and bizarre. There was reports overnight that Manchester City have denied that Bernardo Silva is going to join them for 40 odd million or 50 odd million, and the whole world is wondering how are they financing all this stuff while at the same time trying to take their former board to court, or certainly take a court action that will annul contracts that the former board put in while we all heard that they were $1 billion in debt and completely broke. So can you maybe just give us a quick explainer of what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it is super complicated, and yeah, even a quick explainer is a tough one. But yeah, Barca they have huge financial problems that they inherited from the previous board under Bartomeu. Laporta came in about 18 months ago now, returned as president, and since then he has been trying to sort out their debts. They've done a lot of work off the pitch, refinancing debts. They brought in Goldman Sachs, so they kind of have access to money. Like it's a bit like they've remortgaged the Camp Nou. They've remortgaged everything that they can and refinanced their debts. So they do have access to money that they can spend on players. That continued this summer when they have sold or taken in money for their future TV rights. So they're taking a lot of money up front, like 600 million euros or so from American investors, and in exchange for TV rights going 25 years into the future. So they'll be paying for that for a while. So they do have this money that they want to spend on players, including maybe Bernardo Silva, who Xavi would like to get in. La Liga are saying that, hang on a minute, like this, and just because you can mortgage yourself into the future doesn't mean it's such a good idea. And La Liga have pretty tight salary cap rules, so they are enforcing those rules. So at the minute, all the players that Barca signed this summer, Lewandowski, Rafinha, Koundé, the defender they got from Sevilla, along with the players that they re-signed, whose players had run out, including Dembele, they're not able to play against Rayo Vallecano on Saturday as things stand. There's a row going on with La Liga about the fine print of how Barca have raised their money this summer about whether it's possible or not. So yeah, it's chaos. They're trying to get rid of De Jong. The stuff about it being an illegal, De Jong's contract being illegal, can be seen kind of as a way of putting pressure on him to leave, whether to Manchester United or to Chelsea, because that would help them in the fine print with La Liga around being able to register their new signings. But again, I hope some of that made sense because it is just super complicated at the minute.
The fact that they can't play the players that they've signed this summer in the first league match of the season is absolutely remarkable. I can't remember a scenario like this ever in world sport where one of the biggest brands in the game has been so chronically mismanaged that they can't use the players that they've spent a fortune on in the matches, and that the league is the one who are saying, no, you can't do this. Because normally it's in the league's interest to make sure that from the TV rights perspective that Lewandowski is playing, because they want as big an audience as possible. It's in La Liga's interest to get this situation sorted. So imagine how difficult it must be for them to say, look, lads, you can't do this. You just can't. You can't be doing this, lads.
Yeah, like the relationship between La Liga, President Javier Tebas, and Barcelona's Laporta is not good. You go back to the Super League when Barca were involved in that and are still involved in that. They were in court in Luxembourg last month trying to fight that battle. There is a lot of brinkmanship going on as well. Like I've been talking to people at La Liga and people around Barcelona this week just for reporting on The Athletic. And on both sides, there's kind of a feeling that it will get sorted out, that a lot of this is noise. A lot of this is kind of negotiating in public. There's constant communication between them. But yeah, La Liga are kind of forcing Barca into a situation where maybe they will have to fold. Maybe they will have to choose between players. Like maybe it might be possible to register Lewandowski under the rules, but not to register Rafinha, for instance, or the Xavi or somebody at the club is going to have to decide who's more important to register, which again is kind of crazy. It's Wednesday morning now. They have until Friday to sort it out. If something happens in the meantime, like say De Jong agrees to go to Chelsea, that would help them a lot. They might be able to register everybody, and it's kind of crazy. And you talk to people around the dressing room and they say that the players are not really that affected by it. There's been such drama at Barcelona over the years, going back to the rows between Messi and the previous president, Bartomeu. The dressing room are kind of used to all this kind of crazy noise going on behind the scenes, Neymar, all the things that went on with him as well when he was at the club. So according to them, the players are focused. They're able to, they're training this morning, getting ready to play. Xavi has, he's Lewandowski in his team that he's working on for the weekend, because they're all working under the assumption that he will be able to play. But it's surreal, and it just doesn't go on at any other club for sure.
And it seems to have permeated throughout all aspects of the club. Like you talk about maybe the players not being overly affected by it. I presume it was hard for Martin Braithwaite to not be affected by getting booed the other night, and now the whole, one of the many angles in all of this is the Barcelona fans all of a sudden maybe not as cool as we thought they were, and the whole club just has a complete stench about it. It's not just in the boardroom anymore.
Yeah, it went back with Dembele as well. You might remember last January, Dembele, who was a bit of a flop, who had come in to replace Neymar a couple of years ago. The club were trying to force him out. The sporting director of the club went on TV saying he's never going to play for the club again. He was being whistled when he came on to play in some games back in January and February. Xavi kind of rehabilitated him. He got his confidence back up. He played quite well towards the end of the season, and now he's back, and he was being cheered by the same fans who were whistling Braithwaite. And an extra complication is Braithwaite and De Jong have shared the same agent. So yeah, they do put out that the players are sealed away from it, but not that they don't know that it's going on. It's just that they can kind of compartmentalize, or they can or at least try to compartmentalize it in their brains and say that it's the players are quite selfish in a way, and they want to perform, and they want to be in the team. But yeah, it's obviously not a good situation to be in going into the first game.
Part of this also is, once the football starts, people start talking about the football, because it's going to be very interesting. They have this collection of young players, they now have this collection of really old players who, if they gel, should be very interesting to watch. And they've got a young manager who's very charismatic, and it's going to be interesting to see how successful or otherwise he is. So is there a sense that all of the boardroom wrangling will become less important, assuming the players that they've signed can play for the club, and that actually this then becomes the B story as opposed to the A story that it is at the moment?
Yeah, for sure. That's the plan, is that they're taking these risks, or they're doing everything that they can to get players in, like Lewandowski especially, because he's going to score the goals that's going to win them games, it's going to get them positive headlines, it's going to bring in more sponsors, get more fans to go to the Camp Nou, because the crowds at the Camp Nou were down last year. And they talk about a virtuous circle, which happened the first time around when Laporta was president. He came in at a difficult time for them in the early 2000s. They signed Ronaldinho. They had Xavi and Iniesta, who maybe is like Gavi and Pedri these days, and it kind of propelled itself forward. There was lots of shenanigans, let's say, at the club during Laporta's first term too. Under Bartomeu there was as well, but they won the triple in 2015, and Bartomeu was re-elected a couple of months later with a huge landslide. People do. It's all about if the club are winning games, if they're beating Real Madrid, if they're winning trophies. In theory, that solves everything. But if they don't, is the big problem of what happens then, because they have, they've taken on extra debt, they've signed all these players. If, for instance, they can't find a way to register them, if De Jong won't go, if they can't get the problem sorted out with La Liga, what happens then? But there's just this kind of confidence that Laporta inspires in the people around him. He's a very charismatic guy. He's a very optimistic, confident guy, and he seems to think that he's just almost through force of personality or through the size of Barca's brand that they'll be able to come through it. It's almost like he enjoys having the noise. If Barca are in the headlines, it's good for them. It's people are talking about them. It's where they want to be, and it's again, just repeat that it just doesn't happen anywhere else. It's a unique thing that goes on at Barcelona.
And again, it doesn't seem like it's just a boardroom. That incident with the fans booing a player would suggest that maybe they're like, Laporta is onto something here, or that there is a level of blind belief within the Barcelona supporting fraternity that this thing is going to work out in the end, or that they might actually be doing the right thing here.
Yeah, if you live in Barcelona, if you read the Catalan sports press, which are very close, a lot of reporters there have very good sources at the Camp Nou, and there's a kind of narrative that excuse me, that can be shaped. And if that's your bubble, I guess, then you have a very different idea of Barcelona than if you read the English media. You're a Man United fan, you're wondering what the hell is going on with Frenkie de Jong, or you read the financial media and you look at all the levers that they've been been setting off this season and what that would mean for the club into 10, 20 years time. A lot depends on the focus, and football fans want their team to do well. If you're a Newcastle fan or a City fan or a Chelsea fan, you manage to compartmentalize as well what's going on, and you can still cheer on the team. And that is even multiplied if you're a Barca fan that just listens to the local media there and just talks to your own fans and goes to the games.
I know fans are obsessed with their team's debt, but debt's fine if you can repay it. And the risk that they're taking here is that the team will perform at a level that will continue to put, as you said, that virtuous circle in place. Is the debt fine? Like, have the economists who've taken a look at this gone, that's fine? Or is this Peter Ridsdale's Leeds that we're looking at?
It's a bit like the thick of it, where it's like, we have an expert, the TV show The Thick of It, where they have an expert who contradicts something. He goes, I'll find you another expert who can tell you that it is true. Barcelona leaning economists say that it's fine, and the people at the club that they've done deals with people like Goldman Sachs to refinance the debt to push out into the future, and they're very confident that they can grow the revenues of the club. Barca is such a huge brand, one of the biggest football clubs in the world, or they say that the biggest football brand in the world, and they have all these plans to monetize their global fans, to get people in Ireland or in China or the United States or wherever to pay membership fees to become Barca fans, to get extra content over the internet. They're going into crypto space as well, which is, again, depends a lot on your point of view whether that's a good idea or not. But they feel that they can really take another step forward, as they did, back 20 years ago with the guys who a lot of them are at Man City now. That Barca's medium and long-term future is going to be fine. There's going to be a pay off the debts. That a lot of that is based on maybe they're going to be in the Super League as well. They're still quite confident that some kind of Super League is going to go ahead, and that's going to exponentially increase their revenues. The problem is if everything crashes and burns this year, if Xavi can't handle the dressing room, maybe Lewandowski gets injured, maybe key players like Pedri or Ter Stegen or somebody is out for a while, that they don't really have somebody who can replace them, and the team fail to get into Champions League or drop out again. That kind of thing would be a huge problem for them, but they're quite confident it won't be, and that that they're able to handle the debts that they have.
Can I just ask you a little bit then about the football side of it? Because it definitely feels a little bit like when Xavi came in, there was a supermarket sweep. We'll buy and take everybody that we can possibly get, and we'll put them in the team, or we'll see if they can make an impact in the team, and then obviously qualify for the Champions League. Everything seems okay. But now those players who they signed, like Aubameyang's being linked with Chelsea, it'd be a short period of time. I don't know, did Adama Traore play any football? I'm not sure, but like, who's the architect? Who's this version of the cheeky Begarenstein or whoever was buying the players at that point? Who's the sporting director who's going, yeah, no, this all makes sense. I can add this guy who's at the very end of his career, or I can let's re-sign Dembele. Who is making those decisions?
Yeah, the sporting director at Barca is a guy called Mateo Alemán, who's a very experienced guy, been around La Liga, was president of Mallorca when Mallorca were very good back in the early 2000s. Real Madrid tried to sign him. He was at Valencia for a while, won the Copa del Rey there, built the team there that won the Copa del Rey. And he's a super astute guy. He's very good he's more a numbers guy than a football guy. He's not a former player or anything, but he's very good. They also have Jordi. He's very good at the contracts end of it, the money end of it. They have Jordi Cruyff, who's come back to the club. Johan Cruyff's son, former Man United player as well, who has a load of experience at different smaller level clubs around the world, but knows football really well. And Xavi has a big role in identifying players and deciding who they're going to sign. But then there's Laporta. Lewandowski seems to have been more a Laporta idea than anybody else. There's other kind of, because it's Barcelona, there's other directors, there's other people there who are involved in scouting, and it's a bit like they've all got what they wanted. Like Laporta wanted Lewandowski, Xavi wanted Koundé to come in as a defender. Now somebody picked up Christensen from Chelsea because that was a good deal on a free transfer, but they've got too many players maybe to fit them all together, and it will be a huge challenge for Xavi to get the best 11 or get the best shape and get things working. A couple of people I was speaking to wonder, like they said, that the mood within the team is really good, and you could see in pre-season the team were playing very well, scoring lots of goals. It's pre-season, and some of the opposition they were playing weren't great, but there is a there was a buzz around them, and there is a lot of optimism looking at it. Is to see now, if things go wrong, say they lose a Clásico, they have a difficult Champions League group, something happens, how Xavi manages it, how he manages disillusioned players, if De Jong stays and he's on the bench all the time, or if Christensen doesn't even get a game after being signed and they made promises to him. How Xavi deals with all that is going to be super interesting to see. But the evidence is that he's pretty good. He knows what he's doing. How he rejuvenated or rehabilitated Dembélé was really impressive, and Dembélé was firing at the end of last season. So again, in football, and especially at Barcelona, it depends on your perspective on what you want to happen, maybe. But if you're a Barca fan, a lot of them are very optimistic about how things are going and think that they can challenge for La Liga and be competitive in the Champions League again this year. All
right, that's we all felt that way at the start of the season, and then you get beaten by a team newly promoted 2-0. Sorry, I digress. The quality of the young players is obviously the other thing that I presume is giving the Barcelona fans some hope for the future. Is the evolution of that particular trio of teenagers that we've been talking about for a long time, is that going to be the bedrock of the team into the future, or actually have they managed to sign enough players so that they can not rely on those to win them a league this year, for example?
Yeah, that is super interesting, because speaking to maybe going back 18 months or so when Laporta was coming in as president, there was a lot of talk about how, Pedri and Ansu Fati and Gavi, these are going to be the guys who are going to build the team around. Even some Barca fans saying they didn't care. We can finish fourth in La Liga and once we make the Champions League, we don't need to be, winning trophies because we are Barca. We're more than a club. We're based around these young players. That idea kind of went out the window last year when it seemed like they might not get into the Champions League, and they went for Aubameyang and Ferran Torres, and now this summer again. So it's kind of interesting to see whether Gavi's gets a place in the team, because he's up against Kessie now, who they've just signed. Maybe De Jong stays. Gavi has so many options. Ansu Fati as well. He was being marketed as their new number 10. He inherited Messi's jersey last year, but he's had so many injury problems that they couldn't really rely on him, and now they've signed a load of big attackers to play on the wings, like Ferran Torres and Rafinha from Leeds this summer. So maybe he won't get a game. Maybe that'll affect his.
I forgot about Ferran Torres. What? They have spent so much money on players. It's
yeah.
I mean, look, if they can get them all to play together, fair enough. A quick Frenkie de Jong question. There was one report that perhaps Chelsea were willing to pay the deferred money and soak up that cost. If that's the case, is that the out that everybody needs?
Maybe it would make the most sense. Like De Jong, he clearly didn't want to go to Man United. He wasn't super interested about playing in the Europa League, and he definitely wasn't going to give up any money in order to go and play there. From everything that I've heard, De Jong himself is very happy in Barcelona, loves the city himself, and his girlfriend, they got engaged earlier on this year. They've bought a new house, and he likes the lifestyle. He likes playing for Barcelona. He's always been a Barca. People say you've always been a Barca fan as a kid, but for Dutch players, it's so huge to follow in Cruyff's footsteps, and he doesn't want to give up any money, but he actually does want to stay, and he feels that he can fight and play for his place. It has got very dirty and very just not nice at all, the atmosphere around it. And from his agent's point of view, a big move would make a lot of sense as well. You could go to Chelsea, you could get all the money that you're owed up front. You can play in the Champions League there as well. It's not such a bad option. So maybe he will end up going in the end, but it will be because that kind of Barca dream that he had turned so nasty because of what happened with the previous president, and again now with the current hierarchy, which would be, well, maybe a pity for him and just a pity in general, I think.
Yeah. But do you expect it to come to an end, or do you think that maybe he might still be there in September? I
think it's still most likely that he'll still be there in September. Who knows with Barcelona, and who knows with football and the transfer market and stuff, but my gut feeling will be that he'll still be there, and they'll find a way to register everybody, and they'll just kick the can down the road and hope that this virtuous circle does work out with all the great players, and it'll be Xavi's problem on who he picks. All right.
I think there was a tweet that we're sticking up here, The Big Short, but it's explaining whatever it is that Barcelona are doing. That's somebody comparing. Yeah.
What is it? Is it Anthony Bourdain using the price of fish to explain what the hell is going on? They definitely need to get an equivalent of that done for this Barcelona thing.
There's going to be a great book in this, Dermot. I hope you're writing one.
Yeah, taking notes.
Yeah, good man. Quick word on Real Madrid, who, like, are watching all this going on. What are you doing? You just sell a training ground to the government and you get out of all this problem. That's all you have to do, lads. You're in the halfpenny place when it comes to dealing with crisis. No crisis in Real Madrid. Really quiet. Everything going very well. Coming off the back of an incredible season. They re-signed all their young Brazilians for buyout clauses of billions. Like, it's the perfect Real Madrid situation, right?
Yeah, it's worked out amazingly well for them, really, considering, back at the end of last season, they thought they were going to sign Mbappe, then he turned them down. That was such a big kind of public humiliation for Florentino Perez. We all kind of stood back and wondered how he'd react to that. Excuse me. But then a week later, they won the Champions League. It was to go with La Liga title. Carlo Ancelotti smoking his cigars on the open-top buses in Madrid, and they're still on that cloud of just a happy place with Madrid. They have done good business in the transfer window. Got their business done early, signing Rudiger from Chelsea and young midfielder Tchouaméni from French football, who looks a really good player, a really good addition to the team. So yeah, everybody's happy out at Madrid. In a kind of interesting way, Perez has been helping Laporta to sort out the Barcelona problems. That it's kind of not in their interest for Barca to fade away. They need a rival there as well. So again, with the connections that they have through the Super League, that Florentino has been, helping out Laporta in making connections to help them raise some money this summer and try and sort out their financial problems, which in itself is kind of interesting. But yeah, Madrid are super happy out. They've got the European Super Cup tonight. They should beat Frankfurt in that, you would imagine, another trophy to celebrate and kick off La Liga as champions at the weekend.
Are Real Madrid the good guys now?
It is difficult to actually to go that far, but looked at from, they're definitely the better run of the two clubs. Again, as both clubs who are owned by their members, one is total chaos at Barcelona, where democracy doesn't seem to help them out that much, whereas at Madrid, Florentino, it is in theory a democracy, but he has it well under control. And yeah, they're 5 Champions Leagues in 8 years, and finances are pretty healthy, and new Bernabeu going to be opened up next year, which is pretty stunning as well. So they're in a good place.
In an interview with Paul Kimmage one time, Paul Carrington said what we need is a benevolent dictator. That may be very well what Real Madrid have at the moment, and maybe there's a gap there in Barcelona. Great to have you with us, Dermot. Thanks a million. Cheers.
Cheers, Dermot.
Dermot Corrigan. You can read his stuff in The Athletic.